All right, this is the Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. Review. Now, everyone looks at this episode that just aired and they couldn't piece certain things together. I don't know why, but the foreshadowing was coming. Do I think about Lou and all that situation? Well, let's kind of go back to the mistakes that was being made. Well, for all the things that was happening with Scrappy, it was pretty obvious leading up to it what was happening with Scrappy. Right? Because Scrappy was clearly somebody who was doing something he shouldn't have. Right? As we will cover this episode. And don't forget, spoilers are loaded in this one. If you hadn't seen it already, shame on you. Now, obviously, Scrappy had nothing to do with them being ratted on, and we all know because we witnessed it. But Uncle Marv and Kanan are basically mirror images of each other. That's one thing that people are missing in this whole story, is Kanan and his Uncle Marv are alike. Uncle Marv is a hustler. Kanan is like him when he was younger, and he sees a lot of Kanan in him. He wants Kanan to be in the game. He don't mind Kanan being in the game because he sees Kanan has potential for earning. And that's something he wants. And he wants someone to look up to him as a boss. And Kanan looking up to him is cool, but the only thing that's standing in the middle is Ra, his sister. That's his sister's son. Something happens to Kanan, all hell gonna break loose. Now, the main problem is this, and it needs to be settled and said right here. Now, when you see all of these scenarios play out the way they were going through it, as Kanan is divulging too much information to this girlfriend of his as they were getting ready to plan the party and all of these things. This is so true to real life, a lot of people just don't know. Is that when you're trying to have police activity out of the conversation, both sides know, like, look, they're dealing on their side, we dealing on our side, but we don't want to involve the police. Too many homicides will have the police knocking on doors, and they know the doors to knock on, and you gonna give them a reason. So police are saying, we don't want to be here in the mix doing all this. We're here to pick up the bodies and the pieces. Y'all job is to keep the peace and to keep everybody under your thumb, under control. Now, if you can't, then we got to start squeezing you. So the kingpins know we got to keep them out of the activity or out of the zones. Like, that's not us. So all this activity was happening. These scenarios was changing. And when he went to Unique, basically to tell him no serving at the party that they had there, that was for a reason. That party had to go through clean. Because if it didn't go through clean, here come the cops and here come everything else. Now, on the fact that they sent they boy off, which was basically a sniff out, like they knew he wasn't down with all of that. They knew Scrappy was a soldier and wasn't gonna roll over one beat down. You know, Neek wasn't that stupid, thank God. He wasn't that dumb to believe that. But when he went over to do what he was doing in the situation, this was only going to be a chain reaction event. Because you got to see Ra's move of actually going behind the connect and working neck to neck to basically sell only to her and string off Unique and let him be out there starving without work, backfired because she went behind the connect's back and then that guy was taken out. So that let the connect know, I can't trust you, we're done dealing. So now he's paying for both their ends. Unique is paying basically double, taking double the work. And he's basically flooding the streets. As Kanan was dumb enough to get the house raided for opening his mouth to his girlfriend or whatever. But when the party had went off that time, and the party jumped off, you could see the ambition in Lou. Lou wants to be in that record business, and it's making him sloppy on handling business. As in the previous episode 7, you could see. And when they set it up to try to take out Lou, when Lou didn't do his bidding, and the fight went on at the party, and it broke out, and then they took out Scrappy's eye. Scrappy's still alive. So I'm like, look, if Scrappy's still alive, Lou gotta be alive. So I don't see that Lou would be out of it. If it is, that would be a big blow to her organization. But in real life, people who deal and want things to go as usual. They want things to continue to flow. I don't know why they feel that drug dealers love to have people killed and all that. That's movies. In real life, they need people alive to buy from them. to move along with whatever. They got to eliminate people that's trying to hurt them. That's their only problem. Now, if somebody trying to take them out, then it becomes that situation where they have to retaliate. But other than that, they don't want to prevent doing that at all, because that involves a lot of different other detectives rather than local police. So to have that happen in an event where you don't want to have it singled out or even rear its ugly head, then by all means you don't want it. It doesn't benefit you. And Marv, he's tired of being the lapdog. He's always the one that's messing up. Now, as we've been seeing his story progress, he wants to expand. He wants back in the game. But he's kind of outside of the game and got to take every little end job he can. But we never got any clarity into the last episode. The last episode kind of filled a lot of slots. So not everybody loves this last episode because it really filled out everything to the fullest. And people needed to see and understand to get a grasp of why people are in the situation that they're in. Now, for instance, Marv, you learn, was a junkie. Started using his own product. Police busting the door, he tried to sell them something. When he got raided. That's how high he was off his supply. Screwed up tremendously. Had to serve time. Came back, was never trusted again fully in that capacity. They call him over to do jobs, an odd job, and he's loyal to a fault. Because he's the big brother, but she's in charge. You find out a lot about the guy who was the kingpin of the clique, who Ra took his position once he went to jail. Come to find out that Omar Epps, who's dying, by the way, the police officer, Kanan is his son. And Ra knows it all along that it wasn't his. And she's like, well, you can't threaten to tell him about it, because if you do, he's not going to care. He knows that Kanan isn't his son because he was gay. And no, he was on the down low. Nobody knew. And Ra was basically his cover. So it covered a lot of voids. And him having Kanan made him look straight. So it was a lot of things that was discovered in this episode. Then let's go over another big fact that happened here, because Marv is just something else. Kanan comes up with the idea that he can mix up a product, and he can cook now because his mom had to teach him how to cook. So when she teaches him how to cook, to make and stretch some product, they grab some other people work from out of town, mix it up with what they had, and put testers out. See, in the drug world, you never just throw product out on the street if it's new, or you have to throw out testers, because if it's no good, you don't want too much of it out there. So they throw a tester out, and people who had used the tester, like, bodies were just falling, because whatever they had was so potent and deadly, it was just taking people out. Now, Jukebox, her little love story she has with this rich suburbanite that you seeing from the still shot. In the last episode, you saw her take a fatal hit of that crack that she took from, she got hooked at the party, just smoking whatever they putting in front of her. So gave her a little bit of a habit. So she saw a tablet in her purse that she took from Kanan when Kanan had to cook that went wrong. Juke took it, and her friend went in with her bag, took it out, smoked it, and took her life. And this is going to be a tale to show how Juke's story is going to go towards being a police officer. As she says, it's not your fault, it's not my fault. It's this area where we live, this life. So she's going to want to be a police officer. And the person that got her out of it and told her to let her go was actually the female cop. Well, we haven't learned that yet, but it's going to be the female cop who saw her putting the flyers out and saw her with the girl, who's going to really realize that, oh, she's lesbian. She likes girls, and she can't let anybody know yet. And they're probably going to connect on that level, because she's probably a lesbian too. So they're going to probably figure that out in the next episode. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, Lou was getting sloppy as he missed the Warrell hit, messed up using a Tech 9, and I don't know how he missed at that angle, period. Even with a gun jam, for a hit like that, you should at least have a revolver and an automatic, just in case something jammed. You don't want to ever be in that situation naked. That's what they call naked, being out there with nothing. So, no weapon. So he's out there naked in the game, and it goes wrong. Real wrong. Now, Unique's in a situation because, and what's weird about this is he's rolling around without a lot of security, which is weird to me. And we still got to find out what Lou was doing when he went in there and took his jacket out. Like, what was the purpose of that? Still in the Unique jacket. But needless to say, this episode exposed a lot. Closed a lot of doors and opened up a lot of things as war's getting ready to come, whether they like it or not. Unique checking in that hotel was really too safe to be in that environment when it's really on at this time. But I guess now it's really, really on, you know, because they all know where each other live. Like, people was like, man, why wouldn't he get him in the restaurant when he tried to recruit Lou? And Lou was like, I don't roll with itch ass English, you know? So when he said that, then you automatically knew which angle he was going to go down, which road he was going to go down. But people are very stupid sometimes in the drug game. Even when they're smart, they all make stupid mistakes. As you see, she's in pain knowing that her friend OD'd from she didn't even care they called the cops, that her friend OD'd on the product that she had. She's just heartbroken. She tells Kanan about the situation, that he's off the hook for what happened. And finally, Ra tells Kanan, who's to me is the dumbest character on the show. I cannot stand Kanan. If this was to make us love Kanan or like him or understand him, I just understand what a dumbass he used to be. That's all this tells me. Everything, and Ra told him, everything you have done has been because of you. Your friend D-Wiz, I had to do it. He gone because of me. Now, whose fault was it? Is it my fault or is it your fault? All you doing is keep making messes and I got to keep cleaning it up. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. It's this dumb mother. His fault. I want to be in the game. You keep screwing up. Dude, do you realize if she wasn't your mama, you would have been in a box 3 times? Yeah, you could tell I don't like the Kanan character too much. I mean, but you could tell he's learning the game, but my goodness, is he stupid. Some of the stuff that he's doing. I'm like, to grow up around hustlers, boy, you have got the dumbest mentality in the whole screen. Now, Famous, his buddy, is doing something that most people have done a lot. Rapping about situations, but they have consequences behind it. This aligns a lot with what 50 Cent was doing when he did Ghetto Quran. By him talking about all of those situations and just putting it out there, nobody went to jail because of it, but in the streets, it's like, dude, we don't want our situation with our names on it put on record like that. So they felt very slighted and disrespected. So that was just it. Now you got these gumbo pot dudes around here talking about hustling, and they never, moved a muscle. But Kanan's stupidity, is legendary on this show. He'll have a good idea, but don't know how to execute it to perfection because he's young at the game. And at this point, people are trying to keep him out and then pull him in at the same time. But he came in a situation where his mom is queen pin. So this becomes a major problem. Now, Rock is in a position now where she knows where she stands. She knows in her heart she doesn't really want to do this street thing no more or be a part of it. Ra is sick of Kanan and his lies and deceit. She knows she's on the cusp of running the whole city, and Unique is the only thing in the way. And he knows her only lieutenant was Lou. That's her main guy. Your main soldier scrapped and lost his eye. Lou had to go. If he wasn't gonna flip, which he told him, and he had to see for himself, he had to go. And Ra was just making him way more insecure about his position. He's loyal to the soil, but he don't want to do it. And then Marv want to actually run his own thing. She don't trust him. She wanted him out. Never involved Kanan. As you can see, Ra has her own ways, and this is what made her the way she is. She's cold. And when she get those eyes going like that, them crazy eyes, she means business. And then this punk ass boy who keep messing up. Now Omar Epps then pulled a move on her and said, look, Ra, if you don't tell Kanan about me, I'm going to tell everybody we didn't slept together and all of this. This does not impress Ra one bit. And she says, I will handle the cop. Which meant she was finna have the cop removed. She was finna have Omar Epps' brains blown completely out because that was the only move he gave her. And he was like, look, if you send your punk A brothers after me, and he's like I ain't no punk. Like, he know her moves. But she don't care. She was gonna send him anyway. Because that was her only move. You are not finna expose her on the streets and implicate her as being a possible snitch. Which what the new connect was worried about. So she had to say, no, I'm the one that put the husband down. The other girl at the bodega. Because see, this is what happens. Anybody who's a kingpin or queenpin or who's responsible for product being out there for other people to have to work, they always have a workaround. They always have a plan B. They're not going to say, okay, this guy's my connect. They know 2-3 other connects that they can go to if things go another way. They can't just have one connect. They might work with one connect, but they'll never not know where the other connect is if they need it. And that's one thing that was true about Ra. She knew if I need to connect, this is where I need to go. Now, Kanan, in this story in episode 8, I was glad they cut out most of the storylines that wasn't needed. Like Kanan and that girl that he liked and the baby situation. And her mom, she was missing because she was not like dead or whatever. And so the kids got picked up into foster care. So they're gone. And they're in the foster home and all that stuff. And the sister was being raised, the baby was being raised by her. Now, other than that, that's it. Now, one thing, when they went to finish this apartment and run it out of the complexes, this was an idea that was already going on in the cities of Chicago, in the project buildings, from Robert Taylor's to the Greens. If you run to have the people and you looking down, you get to see who coming up, everything. They basically took over the projects. Everybody had like a Nino Brown situation going on here in Chicago. So it's not alien to us. But for them in the 90s, this probably was a idea that was incorporated before things became like all out war. But for them to put a dead body into the drywall, it's good for movie entertainment, but in real life, that body would have stunk up that entire house. It would have stunk up everything that moved. So to have that guy, in the drywall just made no sense whatsoever. Because now the problem is having him in the drywall is the fact that the whole people would have complained next door. They would have been able to smell that stuff in the hall. And that's something you don't want. Another bad decision that was made in this thing that wasn't real, that they could have shouldn't have, thought about a little bit when they did it. But hey, it is what it is. So this is a smart idea for Ra to have the, product drop down to the next buildings, because this was done in a lot of project buildings. Like I said, Robert Taylor's, Greens, to be an example. People buy 2-3 floors. The superintendents basically work for them. They know who's coming in, who's coming out, product being sold. And that's how it was moved. House is too easy to get raided. It's real hard to find the product when they can move the product from place to place. They would basically have to raid every room at the same time, every floor, which would take time to do that. You would have to know exactly where it is. So it's harder to get in a systematic environment like that. So, anyhow, that's what her goal is to switch locations, switch it up to where they're in a high rise and all of this is going on, because too many people know where she rests her head, and that's not a good thing when people know where you stay, so it is what it is. Now, once he gets cut off, there's a detective there. And that guy winds up being a detective who has the club owner under investigation, who's trying to say she needs to come up with evidence to lock up basically the older brother and the whole family and bring them all down. So when he's asking for money, she wants to know what it's for. But he was smart enough to know never to say that and talk like that in the presence of somebody who's a civilian. So she's got nothing to go off of. So they're just going to take her down because she got busted. As Marv continues to do what Marv does, and that's treat women just like dirt. Like he can care less. Neek believes Rob made the plan to have all those bodies out there to mess up the game because she's struggling, and it's gonna mess up his blocks, which, like I told you, drug dealers don't like dead bodies around. That brings more cops, which they gonna monitor the corners now. They gonna be watching. So this dries up money, and this is hurting his business and messes him up with the connect. So Neek thinks this then went too far. This move is out there, and they was like, "Nah, I don't think it's her at all." Cause he was, she trying to blow up the whole thing. She knows she over. So now he's taking it very personal and is ready to go to all out war. And he gets emotional. And when you get emotional, these things happen. Never get emotional. When you get too emotional, these acts happen. He goes right after Lou. Lou is the captain of the team. He knows. He wanted Lou to join him. Out of anybody, have him working with him is who you want. Lou is thinking and contemplating everything. After sleeping with his girl, thinking about the business, don't want to do nothing. He just want to chill. And while Lou's chilling, they come in and firebomb the house, light it up. And Marv was on his way over there. How Marv don't get hit twice is beyond me. So this is a mirror image of what happened when they came and got Kanan, when they came and robbed the spot the last time. Marv shows up. So here it is again. Marv shows up, and this time, he's hoping, because he's the big brother. This is on him. That's how he looks at it. Like, this is on me. This is the second time something, even though it ain't his fault, he feels he wasn't around, so this happened on his watch. And this is baby brother. And nobody should feel comfortable to touch his baby brother, no matter what. So now, Warrell and everyone else is going to be in for it. Because now, Marv is going to be untamed. Because he's got all this frustration, all this fire which is a great shot. This is a great shot, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great cinematic shot. That's going to go good in the testing room. Marv is upset beyond belief because all of this is going wrong. And if he felt he lost his brother, he going to feel because he's been screwing up. He's going to take it all on his shoulders. So Marv is going to be untamed in the next episode. So this cause of action, without it really being thought out well, could also backfire on Unique. But we're going to see how it plays out. So that's my take on all these episodes. Hope I didn't take up too much of your time. Hopefully you guys hit the like button. You subscribe to the page. Hit my notification bell. Thank you guys who super chatted. Thank you guys who hit up my Cash App. I appreciate that. Thank y'all for rocking with me. You know, male and female. All right, I'm out.